One of the biggest annoyances with Call of Duty are the cliffhangers, of which there are many. To this day, we still have the Ghosts campaign, Extinction, no, I'm not talking about Beasts from Beyond, that doesn't count, IW zombies, World War II zombies, and the main subject of today, the Chaos story. Chaos, and by extension Black Ops 4 as a whole, is a tragic tale of wasted potential and being cut far too short. In addition, neglecting for certain other modes and behind-the-scenes troubles for other games which diverted one studio to help another. But while the canceling of Chaos Season 2 is a big letdown for those who enjoyed the aesthetics of Chaos and wanted to know where the ending would lead to, I'm here to tell the real reason why we will probably never get a real conclusion to it. And it has absolutely nothing to do with how it ended, but rather how it started. Once again, it falls to the story's creator, Jason Blundell. Jason has stated in interviews that the idea of Chaos came from the many concepts over the years that they had thought of and wanted to introduce. The issue they found is that they couldn't find the right way to fit them in.
As we were making the 10-year story, we'd have ideas that we'd like, we could put that in, but it felt like we were jamming it in. So we had all these great ideas that started just stacking up on one side. I was like, okay, now is a good time. We've got all these great ideas here. Let's start afresh. And that means we can also not only kind of cater to our 10-year fan base, but also a new fan base that's starting as well.
So Blundell and his team decided that Black Ops 3's ending and the release of Chronicles, which certainly signified coming full circle for the mode, that they wanted to do something different. And introducing something new isn't necessarily a bad thing, it just matters how it's done. The problem, however, is that Chaos was doomed from the start. And the reason for that is because of two things. One, how the previous story was developed over time, and two, how Blundell introduced and pushed this new story. With the original, the first two maps didn't even have a story. Noct was simply a survival horde mode, and Verrückt was a gameplay evolution of that idea. It wasn't until Shinonuma where actual named characters were introduced, along with the hints of something going on. Der Riese is where the story truly began to form. With radios and world building, it gave a picture of what started all of this. But it was up for the players to piece everything together. You see, this is how the original story was told and why so many players got so attached to it. Because of the mystery, no one knew the full picture. And as with each map, more and more was being shown to us, developing this world of dark experimentation, ancient artifacts, and ethereal beings of unknown origin. Players actively sought out information online because of how much mystery there was surrounding everything. It really brought the community together, trying to figure out the truth of what was going on. It wasn't until Blundell took over in Mob of the Dead and Origins where the type of storytelling changed. No longer was there this same kind of mystery. Now it was all about the presentation of spectacle and being cinematic, which isn't necessarily a bad thing for most players, but it's around this time that the feeling, the vibe, the atmosphere, and the scare factor began to disappear. And with Black Ops 3, the mode from a storytelling perspective didn't resemble anything of what came before. Everything felt so on the nose and cartoony in a way that it never did before. Nothing was scary anymore, and exposition became such a massive part of giving information to the player. Characters just talked and talked about exactly what they're doing and what was happening.
It would appear that the object of our mission is already beyond our reach.
Alas, it seems the capsule containing our beloved Dempsey is on board that rocket, bound for the moon.
The mystery was gone, and it felt a bit insulting in a way that the entire concept of BO3's story was about killing off the past characters, both main and side. Instead of coming up with a truly unique idea with this multiverse thing, they used it to kill the past. Huh, where have I heard that before?
Let the past die. Kill it, if you have to. That's the only way to become what you were meant to be.
I would be worried if everybody across the board was like, yeah, that was a good movie. It's much more exciting to me when you get, a group of people who are like coming up to you and really, really excited about it, and it's going to be something that they're have in their DVD collection. And then there are other people who walk out just, I mean, literally saying that was the worst movie I've ever seen. Having those two extremes to me is, you know, is the mark of the type of movie that I want to make. So
zombie community is at best when it's having conversations and it's talking and it's disagreeing and it's arguing, right? You know, all the stuff that sometimes could be seen as a negative, I see as a positive, right? Which is that people are interacting and arguing about stuff. I think we're putting more stuff for you to argue about, more stuff for you to discuss. And I don't think there's one right answer. I think there's a bunch of optimal answers for certain styles. And I'm sure certain things will bubble up. And then
when storytellers who don't have very much or any creativity of their own, they always seem to want to tear down or destroy what came before, because it's a lot easier to break than it is to make. And now, we finally come to chaos.
I haven't seen my father in 15 years. Why am I not surprised his obsessions are still getting me in trouble?
The way Blundell tried to get people interested in his story is in fact the exact reason why it failed. From the beginning, it was stated multiple times that this was a new story, that this was a new timeline, that this had absolutely no connection to every single bit of zombies that had come before. They were wiping the slate clean and starting fresh. And that is why it failed. When you have an established lore, or a series with recognizable elements or iconography that people associate a game mode with, the last thing you want to do is tell your audience to forget everything they've come to care about and pretend it didn't exist. Because no one is going to care about your new story when you so easily throw away the one that has been for almost a decade. Had Blundell not been so arrogant and full of himself, this could have worked. Or the reality is, had he actually been a good storyteller with an ounce of creativity, he could have taken the concept he introduced into zombies and used that to help boost his new story. When you introduce a multiverse into a story where it hasn't existed before, and you absolutely squander the chance to use it, I'm going to point it out. Instead of endless possibilities, with many different worlds that could exist, with creatures and beings that can't even be quantified, you give us slightly different versions of the same characters and what-if scenarios with them. Which is so lame. You want to know how Blundell could have made chaos work? By having it be another reality in the multiverse of already existing worlds, like Mob of the Dead or Shadows of Evil. The concepts of these artifacts that stop time in a barrier and make those trapped inside complete a dark trial to gain their freedom, something that brings the horrors of fiction to reality. The concepts of chaos were creative, but by deliberately separating it and acting like old zombies didn't exist was an insult to most players. If the story we've come to love for so long can be cast aside so quickly, why should we care about this new one? It's because Blundell went out of his way to destroy all the mystery of this story. He shot himself in the foot and put chaos in a box right from the get-go. Had chaos had dropped, with nothing being told to us, the community would have been in a frenzy. Who are all these new characters we've never seen before? What are all these fantastical new items? Are they related to the Apothecons? Is the Order working for Dr. Monty or some other entity? All of these questions and more could have taken the community by storm and gave so much mystery and intrigue to BO4's Chaos maps. But none of that happened, because when you start a new story and tell everyone basically, hey, this has nothing to do with the mode you've been playing since its inception, no one is going to care or get invested.
Are the two stories connected in any way? Is it a clean break?
they are not connected. They're not connected. They're not connected anyway. They are two separate stories completely.
So
no
really
one believes me, by the way.
And the way in which Chaos was told was just awful, including most of the characters. When you have a story in a mode that has been based on survival and player exploration and mystery, and then you turn it into some kind of generic Hollywood movie, it has none of the things that made it interesting anymore. And the mystery here is artificially created. Instead of players learning more and more as the games and maps unfold, now we're just told what the mystery is. Where is Alistair? A character we don't know anything about, don't even see until DLC 1, wherein which he doesn't even do anything significant in. We don't know why we should care, other than we are told we should. The lack of good characterization goes far beyond Alistair, though. It's about half of all of the characters in Chaos. Firstly, the main antagonists, the Order, have almost no presence or personality. They are quite literally faceless villains with no clear motivation whatsoever. And I'm serious when I say that. We know nothing about who they are, what they want, or why they exist. The allegiances and leadership is so unclear and contradictory, they ultimately don't even seem like the villains by the end of it, because we know nothing. And everything we have seen only makes things more unclear. And the main characters. Oh, good lord. Well, at least with Shaw, he feels like an actual character with real characterization. The dialogue is still not the best though. Most of it feels quite forced in places, but at least I get a sense of who the guy is, and his over-the-top performance is at least entertaining and funny at points.
That looks like the goddess tree. How the bloody hell did a piece of Irish folklore end up in a Roman arena? Silly me, I'm on drugs. Look, there's a walrus wearing a top hat. Hello, you jaunty little devil.
Diego is alright. He gives off real Kenergy and thinks of everything as just a means to making his life more of a tale to tell the ladies. He's okay, but nothing special.
Once again, I face overwhelming odds to free a lovely woman from the chains of oppression. Or as I like to call it, Tuesday.
Bruno sucks. He is one of the most cringy characters I've ever played as in a video game.
Where are you, priest? You who have unleashed this evil! You are a soulless coward, devoid of reason and empathy. You are monster. I kill monster.
Every line meant to be cool and badass comes off as being so try-hard and a wannabe tough guy.
You want a performance? I will show you a performance. I will show you all the vicious ways I will exact vengeance upon your flesh when I am free. And I will be free.
He's boring, has no personality, his dialogue is bad, and any attempt to make him seem likable is just so lame and embarrassing.
Everyone is dead. I am alone. I am not unfamiliar with such scenarios. I will be fine. I am always fine. So, not everyone is dead. Some are somewhere in between. I will do something. I always do something.
He comes off as some kind of white knight for Scarlet, and his lack of anything involving a personality doesn't help.
If Mademoiselle Rhodes' passion is anything like Alistair's, this is a fine invention.
He's a complete stick in the mud, which is the last thing you want as a character in a zombies mode.
Throughout my life, whenever I have been in the presence of such wealth and opulence, violence and deceit were lurking in the shadows.
But Scarlet? Oh my god. She is quite possibly the worst character in all of COD Zombies, and one of the main reasons why the Chaos story failed. She is the most unlikable person I have ever heard.
Would you believe I'm a vegetarian?
Every line she is given is obnoxious.
According to Celtic lore, she was the mother of the earth. Apparently Mama's kind of a bitch.
Disrespectful.
Could everyone just shut their yaps and concentrate on securing the area? I was told I could trust you. Can you please show me that my father wasn't entirely full of shit?
Ungrateful.
Looks like it's all on me. Again.
And punctuated with such needless obscenities that it comes across as just embarrassing.
Damn it, damn it, damn it! Buy yourself enough space to find every crazy fucking hoop you'll need to jump through. If we can solve all their riddles and defeat all their warriors, then the doorway will be opened. Fuck! Why did he have to be right? Why did he have to be telling the truth?
The worst part about her, though, is that she has no personality besides, I hate my father because I have to go on these adventures.
This is just the icing on the fucking cake. Well done, Dad. Messing up my life at least 3 times already wasn't enough. You just went and did it again.
Which, when you have an unlikable and unmotivated protagonist, you bring the whole vibe of the story down. It's so terrible because she really has no character. Why is it that all other playable females in zombies are likable and Scarlet isn't? It's because of how they're written. Samantha is ridiculous.
Pick on someone your own size. Ow! That's mean. Bang! Boom!
Sarah Michelle Gellar is funny.
See ya on the other side. Hey! I can see my house from here. Woohoo! I feel like a bird.
Madame Morella is charming.
Oh, so you've gone from calling me ma'am to calling me miss. I must be growing on you.
And Misty is badass.
No bullets? No backup? No problem.
It has nothing to do with the fact that she's a woman, so let's just shut down that BS sexist argumentation right now. Misty is a tomboy, and yet she isn't unsufferable like Scarlet is. Because Misty does all of her zombie killing with a smile on her face and a knife in her hand.
Payback's a hoo-ha, and so am I. Ha-ha! You just got your ass handed to you by a chick that weighs $108.
She's a motivated protagonist, and she likes what she does. Scarlet hates what she does. She's an unmotivated protagonist and extremely egotistical.
My father, Alistair Rhodes, didn't give me up. He tore our family a fucking part. Let's just do what we need to in order to survive. All I wanted to do was acquire an artifact and find my damn father, not do whatever this is.
She's probably the most egotistical and smug character in all of zombies, besides maybe Peck or Marlton. But at least those guys had some funny lines. Nothing out of Scarlet's mouth is entertaining or funny. Whenever she speaks, she makes me want to jump off the side of the Titanic into my icy death to not hear her speak another word. And just look at the bios for the Chaos crew. Master Chemist Stanton Shaw is thorough, intelligent, and precise. Unfortunately, his pharmaceutical self-experimentation left him with a tenuous grasp on reality. Now, this unlikely hero must join Scarlet and her allies in a quest to recover his missing friend, Alistair Rhodes. Diego Nicali is as lethal as he is charming. A spy during the Mexican Revolution, Diego is a living legend, immortalized in dime novels across North America. Now, the dashing rogue searches for his lost friend, Alistair Rhodes, held captive by those seeking to unleash the forces of darkness. The hulking Bruno Delacroix earned a savage reputation in the Paris underworld, but when he accidentally killed an innocent, Bruno fled Paris to the French Foreign Legion. Racked by guilt, he now fights alongside Scarlet in a last desperate bid for salvation. And now look at Scarlet's. When a mysterious cult abducts her father, adventurer and inventor Scarlet Rhodes enlists the help of 3 of his most trusted associates in order to embark on a rescue effort. However, the newfound allies soon find themselves drawn into a battle that threatens the very future of mankind itself. That's not a character description, that's the plot summary of the Chaos story itself! There's absolutely nothing to her. There isn't anything to say about her, even in her own bio. And no, I know the line Medusa says about Scarlet's ambiguous person, but that isn't an excuse for such a poorly written character. And to be clear, this has nothing against the actress. She does a, well enough job with the trash that she's been given. It's acted well. The problem is that the character is terrible, so I hate her. And she's the driving force of the story. And when your driving force doesn't even want to be behind the wheel, is it any wonder why it crashed? I put the blame fully with Blundell on this one. He even stated that after Chaos would release, that he was specifically not going to listen to feedback for a while and let things, quote, die down.
The thing I'd say is so much stuff has changed that I'm not going to be listening for a little bit.
Ooh.
I'm going to let everyone settle down. We'll wait a little bit, see how it settles down.
Well, how'd that work out for you? Your ego of thinking you could get away with this really let things settle down. You absolutely killed your own story. I don't think it's too shocking to see why Dead of the Night got no press before its drop, because it was meant to be the first map of the story. Like how Shadows started BO3 with a celebrity cast, BO4 was supposed to do the same. But do you want to know why this map was pushed to DLC 1? because they couldn't get all the actors to schedule a time to come in and record their lines.
Okay, so we got a question from Sifsan, who asked the question about the Chaos story. Why did Dead of the Night come out after 9 instead of the other way around? Why flip the chronology like that? Dead of the Night was always intended to have a celebrity cast, and so due to kind of recording schedules and so forth, we had to put it later in the schedule. The other reason is that there's certain kind of concepts and ideas that were needed to be put in, and so that some of the gags and some of the plot devices we use in Dead of the Night work, you need 9 and Void.
So the beginning of the story itself was just not shown to us because Blundell's inability to get things together properly before the game released. Knowing this, it makes the bizarre decision to have the launch map end on a cliffhanger and have to wait 2 DLCs to find out what happened next makes so much more sense. Because 9 was supposed to be DLC 1, and Dead of the Night and Voyage were meant to be the launch maps. It would make sense and have the flow of the story actually, exist, instead of jumping around what is clearly to be a straightforward story about finding someone who's been kidnapped by an ancient cult. All of this is just a mess. Had Blundell just gotten out of his own way, even with the terrible writing and characters, more people would have at least cared had they not known that this would have nothing to do with Ether. For goodness sake, even Cold War knew not to throw away the old Ether storyline. It clearly acknowledges that it happened, and this is a sequel set in the world that was created at the end of Tag. I mean, it's still terribly bland and boring with no personality, but it doesn't pretend Ether didn't exist. But through all of this, long after Blundell was gone, someone, I don't know who, made the decision to canonize Chaos and make it a part of the Dark Ether timeline. The only good story decision and retcon Vanguard zombies ever did.
Well, the page gives specific instructions on the use of that relic to sever the bond between a Dark Ether entity and its human host. It gives no description of the relic itself. It reminds me of when I studied the writings of Alistair Rhodes, an amateur demonologist and personal hero of mine. Rhodes wrote about different objects of power that he called sentinel artifacts, but I was never able to find out exactly what they were. Nevertheless, if we can find the relic we seek at Shinonuma, I am quite certain I can use it on Von List and trap Cortifex in that little scepter of his.
And in retrospect, this actually makes the Chaos Map's smaller details fit much better and make more sense. Because those who have died and been brought back to life with the Scepter of Ra have touched death. They've seen the underworld, aka the Dark Ether. And what is the name of the voices in their head that talks to them?
By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes.
It's as if the Dark Ether has begun to corrupt their mind and create an evil alter ego. This concept is the best thing the revelation that the Chaos Maps are now canon to the new timeline did. And in all honesty, I think that Vanguard needs a little recognition for doing this, showing more validity and respect to the Chaos story than the man who created it.